Night Out on WRMN. It's the talk of the town, so come on and listen now. It's Dino's Night Out on WRMN 1410.
Hello, and we are back to Dino's Night Out. You're listening to 1410 AM. That's WRMN. Hopefully you have the app. You're getting us nice and crystal clear. You want to send something in, send in a note, or how about a call in for our next guest that's going to be coming in. Or actually, he's actually in the studio right now, but we'll introduce him in a few short moments. But you'll want to call in to 847-931-1410. That's 847-931-1410. You want to chat on the YouTube, that's youtube.com. You got that / at WRMN Radio. You want to text in a message to us, you're too bashful, you don't want to call and talk to us, do that on a text. Say what you want to say. And that's 505-926-1410. Again, we are here. You're listening to Dino's Night Out. And our first guest is a gentleman from the area. And here he is. We have with us today Pastor Jarrod. Welcome, Pastor Jarrod. How are you today?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me, Dean.
We're glad you were able to make it. We were talking off air. Charles, who we're going to be doing a part of your congregation. Mm-hmm. We're going to be Charles Kaiser. We're going to be doing something with the candidates that are coming up that are running for office. And I believe over at your parish, a Journey of Hope, they've always had a little bit of a platform. So people get to know the candidates, some questions to them, and people get to know who's who and what's what, and they can ask them what they want to ask. So that's kind of a nice thing. And so then he said, you know what? He says, Pastor wants to talk about this new program. I said, well, what's this program? He says, it's called Rise Above. I says, all right, what? Are we in, what are we rising above here?
Yeah.
And he says, well, it's a situation and it's a definite concern of a lot of people. And it's kind of went hand in glove. It wasn't planned with our first segment and the topics of our first hour. But this is addressing just health, mental health.
It really is.
So, I'm not going to, go no more into it than that. But if you want to go ahead and give a little background, what the program is, and I'd be happy to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've so it's kind of interesting how it came about. And you had mentioned earlier in our previous conversation about this idea of broken by life circumstances, because I said there's an interesting story that goes along with that, because it's kind of how this all came about. And what happened is that we took a congregational assessment survey. And in this survey, it brought out some primary goals that we needed to look at. And one of them that popped up was this idea that we needed to help those broken by life circumstances. And we weren't really sure at that point what exactly that meant. It was kind of a nebulous idea. And it's like, well, what exactly does broken by life circumstances mean?
And honestly, when I read that, it really resonated to me right away, because It's like, my God, just my life alone, I know the hurdles and the challenges I have on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then when you said it that way, I was like, wow, you're putting it right where it belongs.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that face this. And so we weren't sure of whether or not this was, like you were talking in the earlier segment about food insecurities, and whether or not people needed help with meals or with groceries or residents, finding a place to live. And so we weren't sure if it was that. And the more we dove into it, the more we realized that this actually is coming from a space of mental health. And so we looked at mental health challenges and what could we do as a congregation, non-clinically, obviously, but non-clinically, what could we do to help those with mental health challenges? And so we're in the middle of a worship series that we're focusing on these characters of the Disney Pixar movies Inside Out. And as we go through all these different emotions, we're talking about where mental health is in our society today. And one of the statistics that jumped out to me came from the National Institute of Mental Health. And basically what they said was that 1 in 5 people suffer from any mental health challenge.
And that's a number. I mean, 1 in 5.
Yeah, 1 in 5. Now, granted, that's not like these clinical diagnoses, but it's 1 in 5 people will face some type of mental health challenge in their life. And so we said, well, what can we do as a congregation? What can we do to help those who are broken by this type of life circumstance? And so as we thought and dreamed about this, about a year ago, we started planning. And we're actually getting really close to the launch, which is towards the end of February here. But what we came up with is this Rise Above ministry. And so the Rise Above ministry, what it is it's an opportunity for the community to come and experience support in a small group.
So community.
Yeah.
This is a Methodist, church or whatever, however you call it. I mean, I'm Catholic. I'm with the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
And when we do a lot of we have different workshops, if you want to call them, or even Bible studies or whatever, we encourage anybody from any structured religion. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about that spirit that's in you.
Yeah.
And if you heard earlier and you said you were listening, all those things that happen, in my opinion, that's the Holy Spirit doing his work.
Yeah.
And so you're opening this to the community, no matter what denomination, what belief, what you have. There's a need out there that you've identified, Rise Above, for the mental health that's out there.
Yeah.
And it's truly a number. 1 in 5. I've even read that number may even be higher than that. But it's you've done the research, and it's your program. But that's nice that you're offering this to everybody within the Fox River Valley, wherever anybody wants to come from.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the door's open to anyone and everyone. We do some registration on our website, so you can go to johumc.org and
say that one more time, nice and slow, so
sure.
people get it.
It's johumc.org.
Gotcha.
And that's the church website, but there is a tab at the top for Rise Above, and just giving us an idea of how many people are coming so that we can prepare for that. But it is, I mean, it's not something that's just within our church. It's not just within all of the churches. It's within society, and frankly, it's one of those things that as a follower of Christ, we are called to love those who are on the margins. We're supposed to care for them. We're supposed to feed them and clothe them and take care of their souls. And so this mental health challenge, this is part of taking care of the whole person and trying to remind them of their sacred worth within creation. Because I think that's when you boil down a lot of mental health challenges, it comes down to this idea of, am I worthy?
Right.
Am I somebody who is loved and is lovable? And we want to say, yes, yes, man, you are.
Yeah, they need to be embraced, even if it's just a kind word. And we talk about that a lot with the morning show. We got a lot of upbeat that we try to do here, and even on all of our shows. We have a variety of them.
Yeah.
But the idea is just that, is the fact that help each other out, give that encouragement. I like the fact they have to sign up. You sign up, you have to have a little skin in the game for it to be a program that you're going to attend to.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, just to start so far, there's something they're going to get out of it. What type of, program is it? What type of topics are going to be able to be brought up?
Yeah. So currently we have, when you look at the website, it has three groups that are initial groups that we have identified as probably some of the big needs. However, we are fully aware that there are many others and looking to work on expanding those. But the first three that we're actually focusing on, one will be grief. Grief as far as loss of anything, loss of a loved one, loss of family members, friends, loss of a job, relationship, any place that you're feeling grief. We want you to come out and experience some support in that. The second one is depression and anxiety, which in today's climate is very rampant with people that are facing depression and anxiety. And so we want to have a safe space for them to be able to share in a group with that. And then the final one is one that we actually identified as probably one of the biggest needs, and that is caregiver support. There are so many people who are caring for aging parents, They're trying their best to navigate life as it comes at them, and still take care of mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, and are finding it difficult to navigate what life is in the midst of that. And so,
and you know what, Dad? Of all, I mean, you knew 1 and 2 was there.
yeah,
But for you to come up with the idea, I mean, for me, this is my take anyhow, to support the person that's supporting the person is what you're doing. For instance, Alzheimer's, what a nasty, terrible thing to have anybody go through, a family member. Sometimes your mom, your dad, your close loved one you're caring for is not that same person. They're combative, argumentative. I mean, they can be physical sometimes. And here you are, you could get into 1 or 2, grief and depression, your own, group, so to speak, if this isn't addressed. So that's pretty interesting how you put that piece in there, because that gives you the sidestep to the others in a sense.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And it's one that as we looked around, because there's a number of places that are offering these types of support groups, is that the caregiver support was one that we haven't found.
Right.
It's not.
That's the first time hearing of it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, doing with what I do with a lot of different charities and organizations, but to be able to identify, it's like the support group, the peer support for the firefighters. They get done with, and police officers. You get done with a serious incident, a lot of loss of life, a lot of casualties.
Yeah.
You're picking up a lifeless body, and now you're doing whatever. If you perform CPR and it didn't work, wasn't successful, sometimes you feel like, boy, could I have done something different?
Yeah.
But I got there quicker. What would have happened if I did this? And when I got on early days, in the 70s, there was none of those people to talk to.
Yeah.
And here you've identified that that's an important part. That's really important part. Someone to talk to of what someone's going through.
Yeah.
Man, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So but the night. So just as an overview of kind of how the evening works, because obviously there's your 3 groups. With the additional addition of others to come, but the evening actually kind of works out. It's going to be on a Monday evening, so Monday evenings we're going to basically open the doors at 6:15. Open the doors for refreshments, for conversation, just for people to gather in a space. We're going to offer 30 minutes, so from 6:30 to 7, there'll be something that we're basically calling worship. It'll probably be just a couple of songs, and it'll be a presentation by somebody either from the church, from the community, somebody that may present on a certain area of mental health. We'll do that until 7 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock we break off into small groups, and so we'll break off into at least those 3, if not more, and then they will have an hour to an hour and a half in that small group for building the community. The small amounts of community and the support that they need. So, you say you're going to go into the small groups, and that's nice. So grief, depression, and like the caregiver, are you going to do, I don't know if I want to get the question the right way, are you going to screen the groups that you're going to put together, or are you just going to say, okay, 7 o'clock, let's make groups, we have so many, there's 25 people, let's do 5 groups of 5, or what have you. Actually, what they'll do is when they register, they actually will choose which class. That's the piece I was getting. Yep. Okay. So then when they register. You're right. So going into it, maybe you know what you need, or you think you know what you need, so you can make that selection. And then maybe if you're just, I don't know what I need, but I think I need something. Yeah. You're able to help them through that. Absolutely. Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And so, it's kind of... I don't mean to take you off of your plan, but this is... No, that's fine. Because you told me you were going to tell me the program, on the air. I said, okay. Because usually we get, questions back and forth. I said, we'll find our way through it. Yeah. But this is really an exciting program. I got to tell you. Yeah. It's been, it's one of those things where, like I said, it's been cultivating in my mind for probably a year and a half, almost 2 years now. Of trying to figure out, how can we do something like this? And there's a number of programs that are out there that kind of work in this way. But it was like, how do we do it for Journey of Hope? So we're not going to be a cookie cutter cutout of some other area. We just we want to make sure that the program is right for us. And so we've got facilitators that will be in each one of the groups that have gone through some training, so they'll be ready to facilitate some of those groups. And some of them have had experience in the midst of it. You know, they've been through some of the grief, they've been through anxiety and depression, or maybe they are a caregiver. So, they're a person who is offering care to a parent or something.
Excellent. And you've been with Journey of Hope for how long now?
I've been with Journey of Hope now for 5 years. I moved into the Elgin area in 2019. Actually, when it was Epworth United Methodist Church.
Oh, okay.
So somebody might remember that time.
Were you a part of the name change?
Yeah, I actually arrived in 2019, and by the end of 2019, going into 2020, so there was also something else that happened around that time.
Okay.
We actually merged in the two churches. We merged Wesley United Methodist Church and Epworth United Methodist Churches to form Journey of Hope in the middle of the pandemic.
Wow.
So right during the middle of COVID, that's when we jumped into it.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I saw the other locations, but you're a Midwest guy all the time, born and raised Rockford. Is that what I read?
Yeah, born and raised in Rockford. I traveled to Wisconsin for a couple of years, but work took me up there for a little while, and then I moved back in. But yeah, it's kind of interesting of the journey of getting into ministry, because I'm a second career pastor. So I was not always in the ministry. However, I was always around church. I spent 20 years in construction equipment rental.
Right.
So kind of a interesting transition, but yeah. And it's been interesting to see how the life of Journey of Hope has transformed.
And I see the logo with the three peaks. Mm-hmm. Any significance with the three?
Yeah. So when we actually put the logo together, the circles that are around that, there's 3 circles that go around representing the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Right.
And then the 3 mountain peaks actually, for us at the initial merger, signified Epworth, Wesley, and Grace United Methodist Church.
Oh, okay.
See, Grace United Methodist Church, when they merged with Wesley, they actually gave part of their property to Epworth. So they connected the two of us together before we even knew. And so it kind of represents the 3. But now we've added Bartlett. So somebody says, well, does that mean we add another mountain range?
Well, that's the ground beneath.
Yes.
That's the foundation.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
I was originally, when I saw the 3, I don't know if they were mountain peaks or if they were trees, like the three tree story.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of going with that one, but that's great. Great logo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Journey of Hope. Right now we're talking with Pastor Jarrod from Journey of Hope, and he's talking about Rise Above. And Rise Above, what a program. I mean, it's dealing with the mental health crisis. Let's just call it what it is. I believe it to be a crisis in many ways. I think yours is a more subtle, it sounds like. It's welcoming. It's available to everybody in the community. No matter where you're from, open arms, and it's a program I think that's going to do a lot of people a lot of good. It's broken down for grief, depression, and also for caregivers is the way it's being explained, and I think that in itself is just a unique platform to go after the people that are helping the people is the best way that I could say it. But yeah, well, this is nice. I mean. I wish you all the luck with it. I mean, I think this is going to go very well.
Yeah.
And so you have the groups are going to be broken into their different whatever. Mm-hmm. Will they transition into other groups from there, do you think? Or is it going to be you're going to stay with your group? How does it look to you?
So initially, the way we kind of have it planned out is that we're going to run on 8-week cycles.
Okay.
And so you join a grief group, and you'll be with that grief group for 8 weeks. Then there will be a little break, and then it'll pick back up again. But if at the end of the 8 weeks, you've said, "Hey, I'm healed. I'm not grieving anymore. I want to go. I want to either not come anymore, or I want to go to a different group because now I'm feeling something else." Then we can make a transition.
Or maybe they want to stick around and help a little bit because they fostered a lot of. I would imagine. When you're sitting in a group and you're talking, but not imagine because I've been in these groups.
Yeah.
And when you're talking, within your group, within your circle, you're fostering relationships that you're talking private, personal stuff.
Yeah.
I would imagine you'd want to stay connected with these folks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the idea is that, yes, it become a tight knit group, so that you're comfortable in sharing some of the deepest things in your life. And so if the groups are kept, we're trying to keep the groups right around 8 people in a particular group, so that it fosters that relationship building. I mean, this really kind of goes back to John Wesley, and John Wesley is the founder of United Methodism,
Right.
And his idea was small groups. That was his main claim to fame. I mean, he was trying to do a revival within the Anglican Church in England, and he did that by creating small groups.
Yeah,
And so that's
Christian
basically what
communities,
this is. Yeah,
like
bring
by
a
us, we
small
do the
group
same.
together,
Sure.
and build that relationship, so that you constantly ask yourself, how was it with your soul? How are you doing today?
Yeah, it's that constant renewal.
Yeah.
Like the old check and balance, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you're making that relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Exposing yourself. Hey, here I am,
Mm-hmm.
like he tells us to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. And if that means you're connecting with somebody, and all of a sudden, deeper relationships form, that a grief group or a caregiver support group has gone through the 8 weeks, and whether or not they continue on, or they say, you know what, hey, we'd like to get together for coffee some other time somewhere else, and keep that relationship going, then more power to them. But the idea is just to be able to offer that support, to give hope, where sometimes people feel hopeless.
Yeah, and I think that's just the thing is, and so many times people are giving up and they turn to other avenues. Whether it be some type of drug addiction or just.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that really struck me at one point was we were having a conversation with I was having a conversation with a local therapist, and we were talking about this ministry, and I said, somebody mentioned this to me, and this therapist actually confirmed it. I said, somebody said, that we're trying to get a hold of a counselor so that we can talk to them, and they said, great, we can pencil you in, we'll get you in about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I said, some people don't have 6 months.
No, you don't.
And they said yes. So I mean, there's actually cross referrals from Rise Above to therapists. So we've got a number of therapists that we are building relationships with currently, as well as therapists who are saying, hey, I've got a patient that I'm going to see in a clinical setting in 4 months, but I'm going to offer your space right now.
Wow, that's amazing. You're going to stick around for a little bit longer, will you?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We are right here with Journey of Hope. And we do have Pastor Jarrod Severing, which is really the wrong way, because severing means separating. And,
That's right.
And what the good Reverend's doing here, he's bringing people together.
Yes.
And he's bringing people together in this mental health issue. And he's just got a great program from what he's explained, Rise Above. So, hey, stay tuned. You're listening to WRMN 1410 on the AM dial. We'll be back in just a few short moments. And we are back. Dino's Night Out. We're talking right now with our good friend, Pastor Jarrod. And talking about a great program that's coming up. It's Rise Above. Rise Above is going to be at the end of February. They're going to roll it out. It's hope and healing for those broken by life circumstances. I mean, beautiful tagline. Hits it home, hits it just the way it is. Life circumstances, for so many of us, very difficult to get through. Very challenging. They got some nice breakout groups that they're going to go into, whether you're dealing with grief, anxieties, or even the caregivers that are giving care. And again, I'm just saying that those that are helping, it's help for the ones that are helping. And I think it's great. And there's so much that goes on, I would imagine, over at the Journey of Hope. Why don't you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah.
What happens over there at the location?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like I said, we talked earlier before the break was, that we actually have two campuses now, but the primary campus is Elgin, secondary campus at Bartlett, who just came on board a year and a half ago. But a lot of good stuff happening. I know that as I heard in the previous hour with some of the food ministries that some of the things that we do mission wise at Journey of Hope, we've got a couple of people that do a fantastic job. Janina Hoffman is one that I should just raise her name just because there's so much that she does. With a lot of food ministries. So she helps with a number of other people at the church, but they do serve meals at the soup kettles. They do work with Food for Greater Elgin. They also serve
Great
food
organization.
yes, yeah.
Have you had a tour of that facility?
I had been there. I know I'd been there once earlier in my ministry here, but I was just met with him in the break here between hours, and he's like, "Hey, you need to get over here again."
Really
go over and take a look at that. But then they make meals for Crisis Center, for PADS. And so a lot of different things that I know that Janina and I had gone to the city meeting when they were talking about Tent City,
Right.
And trying to figure out how we can feed them, how we can continue to support them in many ways. And so we try to find.
I think this program would be certainly a good way.
Yeah.
I imagine you would have a challenge with transportation.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have some way to get them over to you.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Or we could talk with Greg Schiller and the group over there.
Yeah.
You know, Angela and Odalise and Jim. I mean, there's a lot of good people that could get behind us, I think, and this would be great.
Yeah.
And I like the fact, again, just to keep echoing, everybody is welcome,
Yeah.
no matter what denomination. This is something that you want to get the message out to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, but there's a couple other things that we've done as far as mission wise. I know that we've got another big mission of ours is Spirit Lake Nation in North Dakota, and so we make Christmas shoe boxes for them, but we also go every summer for a week up for a mission trip to the Spirit Lake Reservation up in North Dakota, pretty close to the Canadian border.
Wow.
So it's quite a ways
Nice
up there.
country, huh?
Yeah, but it's a beautiful time to go up and help that community as well. So we try to do a lot of missional type things, but then we also are looking out for each other and trying to make sure that we continue to grow in community. And we do that through different worship services and small group studies. We worship at our Elgin campus. We worship at 9:00 in the morning. At Bartlett campus is 10:30. We usually try to do different worship series, like I had mentioned earlier. Like right now, we're in the middle of Inside Out 2. So we're pulling apart all the different characters. This week happens to be ennui, which I had to learn what ennui was. Yeah. So it's just the boredom. It's just listlessness is kind of what it is. But
Ennui.
Ennui.
First time I'm hearing it.
I know. But then next week will be anxiety.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, yes. many are.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, then just trying to get together for different groups and events and things like that.
What about youth organizations? Does Journey of Hope have a?
We don't have a strong youth group going. We do have a number of kids that are in the ages leading up to about 10 years old. We do. I mean, there's kids in all ages, but not a real large presence. But yeah, I got a number that are right in that pre-K, kindergarten, first, second grade. And so we've got Sunday school that meets right after worship on Sundays and does pretty good with that.
Well, young minds are always the best to reach out to, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that's good. What we're doing, one of the things here as well, we're going to be working with the different high schools and some of the college and even some of the private schools, for broadcasting and what have you.
Yeah.
I think that if we get behind our youth, I mean, that's it right there.
Yeah.
That's definitely it can't hurt us.
Oh, no. Yeah. And we've got
cultivate the young minds and get them moving.
Yeah.
And, getting people involved and, getting people to just show up. So Dolly Parton, what was it in Steel Magnolias? If you remember, they're walking down the street and she says, "Oh, well, I couldn't go there." She says, "I'm Methodist or something." She says, "Oh, come on." She says, "God don't care where you go to church as long as you show up."
Just show up.
So, and you don't have to show up in the building, in the facility. Church, message can be received anywhere.
Yeah.
But being affiliated with somebody and a program with what you're putting together here, this Rise Above, you're opening the doors, and avenues for people that, man, you may not think you're struggling or going through something.
Yeah.
But once you get there and you start talking, and like you say, small groups is key.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that you do the breakout to small groups. And imagine if you identify that even a person needs a one-on-one, I'm sure you'll have people there. I mean, talking to you, I feel like I've known you for 100 years.
Yeah.
So you've got a good way about yourself.
Yeah.
So I think the folks that are going to come in there, they're in for a treat, because I know this program's tailored to your style. I can imagine. So I think that's wonderful. I mean, I really do, because you never know what you're going through until you're in the middle of it. Then it's like, oh my God, is this what it is?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you need a listening ear,
right?
And even talking about one-on-ones and things like that is like, it's one-on-ones more of kind of the mental health, but the spiritual aspect of it,
right.
And because we continue to remind people that that we're not clinical, we know our limits, so we know when we hit a particular line that now we have to refer you to someone. But we're, at least knowing where that line is incredibly important to say, okay, yes, you definitely need a little bit more help. So I'm gonna refer you to someone.
And whether they receive and take that help, that's on them.
Yeah.
But you're making the offer and you're saying, hey, look, this is as far as we could go.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to. It's again, stay in your lane. You heard me talk about that in the first hour we're talking about. And if more people would stay in their lane and do what if there's no shame in asking the question, hey, how does this work? Or am I discussing this right? Or help me through this.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? If you don't know the answer, you don't got to be the smartest guy in the room all the time.
No. There's a show on right now that I'm actually doing a worship series on Wednesday nights.
Okay.
It's the Gospel According to Ted Lasso.
Oh, what a guy.
And so obviously when you were just saying that, I was like, oh yeah, this was the message this past Wednesday. It was be curious, not judgmental. Yeah. Ask questions. It's okay to say, hey, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'll find out.
Yeah. And I think, what did that run? Three
seasons.
And that was it.
Yep.
And they're not going to do another one, they said.
Doesn't sound like it.
Is it? That's it? I think, I don't know if they're going to be persuaded into it or somehow strong arm, but my God, if you didn't get a message out of every one of those shows, and it's like looking in the mirror, you're looking at yourself. It's like, wow,
yeah,
that's me.
One of my favorite phrases that I use quite often is finding the sacred in the secular.
There you are.
Because as you watch Ted Lasso, you realize this is not a sacred show.
No.
But there is so much sacredness within that show. There are so many good messages that we can learn from.
But it's real.
It is.
You know what I mean? You could sit there and, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and God, this guy, we got a good God. He forgives. All I got to do is ask. You ask for forgiveness, boom, it's over.
Yeah.
But, it's just, man, that show is really something. You bring it up, and it appears like you have that balance over at the Journey of Hope as well.
Yeah.
Just again, speaking with you, I could see it's a comfortable setting.
Yeah.
And I believe anybody, Rise Above, you're going to want to pay attention. Give that website so everybody hears and knows.
Yeah, the website. So just go to our church website, which is johumc.org. And then at the top of that, you'll find a number of words up there, and Rise Above is one of the tabs up there. Just click on it. It'll take you right to it. You can register for any one of the groups, or you can just learn more about what this ministry is.
And it's hope and healing for those broken by life circumstances. Listen, we're going to take just a brief break over here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about maybe some of the other different things that are happening at Journey of Hope. I know they've got this musical thing, quartet. Did I say it right?
Yeah, we've got a quartet that's coming.
What's the name of it?
Hallelujah Quartet.
Hallelujah Quartet. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the other staff members and things that are going on over at the Journey of Hope. So we'll be back in just a few short moments. You're listening to WRMN 1410, and it's Dino's Night Out right here with Pastor Jarrod. Hey, and we're back. WRMN 1410, Dino's Night Out. We're here with Pastor Jarrod from the Journey of Hope, United Methodist Community. We were talking about Rise Above, which is a great program coming in the end of February. You're going to want to go to the website, We've announced it. We'll announce it again. Anybody want to call in and ask any questions for Pastor Jarrod? It's 847-931-1410. 847-931-1410. Glad to take your call. But we're going to switch over a little bit and here's some of the other things that go on over at the Journey of Hope. So go ahead, tell me, what kind of a staff you got over there? You have a lot of people behind us?
Yeah, the staff continues to grow. There we go. Hey, yeah, staff is just kind of amazing. We keep kind of evolving and things happen, but we've been known at Journey of Hope for some phenomenal music. So Chris Cherry is our worship and arts director at the Elgin campus. Margot Goodwin is at our Bartlett campus. But some of the music that has come out of there, I mean, it's just been absolutely beautiful. Mark Kuntz with ESO has come and played a number of times. We've got other members of the congregation who are part of symphony orchestras in and around the area and play. And so it's just been really wonderful to see some of that music come out of there. But we got some phenomenal admins that keep us in line, and I've got
what type of music?
So the Elgin campus is pretty much a traditional worship service. Okay. So that we normally will have hymns. We've got a choir that sings. Chris Cherry directs the choir, and so we have them come out. Bartlett will vary between traditional and contemporary, and sometimes blended. And so we've got some good musicians that are leading that as well. But yeah, it's been kind of interesting to see how things keep moving forward and things keep adjusting and changing as we go. But worship's has been really good there. And Wednesday nights we do a different worship service, which is contemporary. It's basically just me on guitar and some reflection time. I've got a couple other services that we do predominantly live streaming, and so we actually do quite a bit with not only in-person worship, but we also live stream just about everything that we do. We're actually trying to launch something that we like to call a more of a digital campus, and so we're trying to add more into that. And then I just saw one of the photos you dropped up there.
There you go.
Alleluia Quartet. Alleluia Quartet is actually, it's not technically a ministry out of Journey of Hope, although I'm the pastor of Journey of Hope, so it kind of comes hand in hand at times. Alleluia Quartet will actually be at Journey of Hope on April 26th, I believe is the day. And it's a fundraiser for our missions, some of the food ministries, as well as some of our Spirit Lake missions. But Alleluia Quartet is a Southern Gospel quartet that has been singing together for, now 40 years this year.
You're not that old.
I was 15 when we started singing. I was a freshman in high school. So there you go. I just gave away my age. But yeah, no, we've been singing together for a long time, and have sung with a couple of the probably the most well-known quartets. We sung with Triumphant Quartet, as well as Mark Trammell Quartet, and a few others that are national touring groups. We're not necessarily a national touring group. We're just kind of Northern Illinois. But yeah, I've been blessed to sing with the same. We've been the same four guys for all 40 years.
And I like what you said. You're just four guys.
Just four guys. Just four guys trying to share that hope, grace, and love with everyone around us.
Isn't that nice?
We one of the interesting things that we have done, besides we recorded a number of CDs that from local studios as well as my uncle's studio out in Colorado, was. We actually were part of something called Harmony for Hunger. And Harmony for Hunger out of the Northern Illinois area was out of Roscoe. And it was the United Methodist Men that put this together. And we ran it for roughly 11 years. And in the 11 years that we did this fundraiser for hunger, for Northern Illinois food pantries, we had raised over $125,000.
Wow.
Over that 11 years. So I guess food ministry has just been kind of in my blood since day one. But yeah,
well, you're doing a lot of neat things over there.
Yeah,
and believe me, song is so important to worship and faith. I mean, on my end, anyhow.
Yeah,
I like it. We have a great director, Gene Garcia, by us, and man, you gotta come one day. I'd
Yeah.
love you to come as a guest. I'm going to definitely check out your place.
Yeah.
I definitely like to check out what's out there. And yeah, this sounds like you guys got a lot going on over there.
Yeah.
And your little I shouldn't call it your little quartet, but that quartet is really something that you're able to put that together as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just being able to share whatever we can with the community around us, and I think that's probably one of the things that we're really trying to push for in the future here is, especially with Rise Above, is this idea of trying to reach out into the community and help the community the best way that we can. And what does that mean? How do we do that? One of the things I think that I think every church needs to kind of adopt is this idea that the way you grow, the way you increase your impact within the community around you, is by sacrificing personal preference for God's purpose. Yeah. Because there's a lot of times that we're like, oh, we just want to be comfortable, we just want to do our own thing, and it's like, yeah, but you know what? God's calling you to something different.
Right. And when you get that call, you got to answer.
Yes.
That phone, that phone doesn't ring all the time.
No.
You don't want to miss the opportunity.
Yeah.
And just for those that too did a little bit later, the inspiration on the program, that you're setting up the Rise Above.
Mm-hmm.
Go into that again. What inspired to make you do the Rise Above again?
Yeah. So
because we got some people that may be tuning in now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it was this idea that we took a survey of our entire congregation, and out of this very extensive survey, there came 3 major goals, and one of the goals was this nebulous concept of helping those broken by life circumstances, and obviously that can go any way that you could think of at that point, whether that's food, mental health, whether that's abuse or anything. I mean, there's so many different ways. So we weren't really sure what to do with that. And so we kind of let it marinate for a while. And something started to speak to me like year and a half, 2 years ago. And so I introduced it to a few at the church, and they were like, yes, that's what it is. And basically it's this, is that there are so many people who are struggling from mental health challenges. Some of them clinical, some of them just need some support, some basic support. And so how can we as a church then help those broken by those types of life circumstances? And out of that birthed this Rise Above ministry, which is basically it's a Monday night group. So the Monday night group gathers at 6:15. They will gather for about 15 minutes as people kind of make their way in. At 6:30, we'll have like an opening session, which is kind of like worship. We'll just have a song or two. We'll have a presentation by someone, whether that's a mental health professional or myself or somebody else on staff, to be able to share a message with them. And then at 7 o'clock, they break off into groups. And as they break off into groups, they will break into initially 3 groups. We'll see where it leads, but those 3 groups were grief, depression and anxiety, and the caregiver support.
Yeah, it's not like I'm sleeping at the wheel here. You saw me.
Oh, yeah.
I've written every one of these questions and your answers down, but I wanted people to get that full impact of hearing again what it is that you're offering to the community, and you're offering this to the community, not just your church, not just your congregation, not the ones that make up the third, and now you have the fourth mountain. But this is for everybody out there.
Yes.
And we look around us, look at yourself, take that little self-reflection sometime and say, man, you know what? I got to talk to somebody. Or, you're a little too cranky about something, myself included. I often say, man, I just got to slow down.
Yeah.
Life comes at us so fast. And to have a place to go to, and there's no judging here. They're not clinical professionals. These are people that want to help each other and want to be a part of it. So
absolutely,
that music is right.
That is the call out music.
This is we've been here today with Pastor Jarrod. And Pastor Jarrod, I can't thank you enough for being here.
Oh, thank you.
You have really enlightened, I think, our listeners. I think this is going to be a great program. I know it's going to be a great program. Rise Above, everybody. You're going to want to get it. It's going to be the end of February at Journey of Hope. Hope and healing for those broken by life circumstances. And Thank you very much for being here. I think we covered all the bases.
I think we did. I really appreciate you, Dean, for having
and
me.
give that website. I think we got enough time.
Yes, johumc.org.
Beautiful. Everybody, you've been listening to Dino's Night Out, and we got Pastor Jarrod, an excellent guest today, and I think we all got a lot of good information. We'll see you next week, 2 to 4, Dino's Night Out.
The Moose Lodge 799 in